Okay, so what we're going to do here is break down a really fascinating training manual. It lays out a strategic framework for creating and expanding new communities, a process it calls church planting. And the key here is that it treats this not as something that just happens, but as a deliberate, planned out initiative. Right out of the gate, the manual throws a curveball at a super common assumption. It says a church is not a building, it's a company of redeemed people. So this isn't about brick and mortar at all. The focus is 100% on people. So look, if we really want to understand this model, we have to kind of deconstruct our basic idea of what a church even is. The manual argues that before you can build anything new, you have to be crystal clear on your definition. And it suggests a lot of our common ideas are more cultural than they are foundational. And this is where it gets really interesting. The manual lays out this stark comparison. On one side, you've got the traditional Western model, which it says is all about the building and the religious activities inside it. But on the other side, it presents what it calls the biblical model, which is something else entirely, a concept that is purely people-focused and all about community. And to make its case, it actually goes back to the original language. The Greek word for church is ekklesia, and its definition is absolutely key. It has nothing to do with a temple or a physical structure. It means a called-out assembly of people, a company of people brought together for a shared purpose. Okay, so once that people-first foundation is set, the manual introduces its core strategy, and it does this using a really powerful metaphor. The entire process is framed not as a construction project, but as a 5-stage reproductive cycle, just like in the natural world. This whole idea implies that these communities are living things, meant to grow and create new ones. All right, so if we're following that life cycle idea, then everything has to start at phase 1, conceiving the vision. Just like the start of any new life, this is all about where the idea itself comes from. It's that initial spark, that moment of inspiration before anything tangible even exists. So you might be asking, okay, but where does a vision like this even come from? Well, according to this guide, it can show up in a few different ways. It might start as a burden, a deep concern you feel for a specific group of people. Or it could be an exciting concept, just an idea that completely grabs you. And sometimes it's described as a really clear picture you see in your mind of what could be. Okay, so you've got that spark, that initial idea. What's next? Well, the vision enters what the manual calls the pregnancy phase. This is all about the strategic blueprint, that crucial kind of hidden period of planning and development where the idea is nurtured and shaped into a real, workable plan. And the very first question you have to ask in this planning stage is honestly the most important one. Who are you trying to reach? The strategy is really insistent on this point. It argues that success isn't about reaching everyone, but about identifying a specific target community and really, truly understanding their unique felt needs. And this table here, it just shows you the incredible level of detail in this whole planning process. The manual breaks the entire engagement strategy down into 5 distinct phases. You start with pre-evangelism, which is really just about making friends and building relationships, and you move all the way through to leadership development, making sure the community can eventually stand on its own 2 feet. So, after all that planning and preparation, we finally get to phase 3, the birth. This is the big moment, right? It's the launch, the point where the community finally goes public and the new group officially kicks off. The manual lays out a few different ways you can do this. The first one is the crusade. This is a very direct, high-profile approach. You use large public meetings to try and generate a ton of momentum and attract a crowd right from the very beginning. But, not everyone wants to go big like that. So there's another option, the house meeting. This method is much more low-key, more intimate. Instead of a huge public event, the community starts as a small nucleus, growing organically through informal gatherings in people's homes. And then there's this tactic that you gotta admit is pretty unique. It's called power evangelism. This is framed as a strategic tool where supernatural events, like healing, are used to meet a community's needs directly. The idea here is that these power encounters can open doors and build credibility in a way that nothing else really can. But look, a successful birth is just the start, right? The strategy then has to shift to phase 4, nurturing sustainable growth. The focus totally moves from just launching to actually lasting. This isn't just about getting bigger, it's about building the systems that let the community thrive for the long haul. So what's the key here? Well, the manual says sustainable growth absolutely depends on having these internal structures in place. It's not random. It highlights 4 crucial systems: high-quality leadership training, an expanding network of small support groups or SO groups, a clear process for bringing in and mobilizing new people, and so-called compassion ministries that serve the wider community. And all of this, all these systems for growth, they're all designed to lead to one single place, the 5th and final phase of the cycle. And this is what the manual presents as the ultimate goal of the entire process: reproduction. So let's just take a look at the whole cycle here. You see how it works? It starts with conception, moves through pregnancy, birth and growth, and then, finally, reproduction. The end game isn't just for one community to get big and successful. No, the whole point is for it to get mature enough to plant a new community, kicking off that 5-stage cycle all over again. So, when you step back and look at this whole detailed framework, this engine that's designed to go from a tiny idea to a self-replicating system, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What can any organization, any movement, any project you're passionate about, what can it learn from a model that is literally designed for infinite growth?